Welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining the Infosim Global webinar today. Our topic is StableNet 7.5, What's New? My name is Matthias Schmid. I'm one of the founders of Infosim and Director of Project Management. Unfortunately, Dietmar Kneitel can't be here today. I take over his job as a moderator for today's event. Joining us from our headquarter office here in Würzburg, Germany, are my colleagues Marius Heuler, our CTO, and Harald Höhn, Senior Developer and Consultant with Infosim. Good afternoon, Marius and Harald. Welcome to our Global Webinar Day.
Hello and welcome from me, Marius.
Yeah, hello.
Before I hand over to Marius and Harald, I want to say some few topics. At first, all of you are automatically muted to keep down the background noise. To allow us to answer your question, please use the question window at the bottom of the GoToWebinar application. We will then take care of all your questions, whether directly in the chat or at the end of today's webinar in our question and answer session. And be aware, this event is being recorded. All of you will be informed via email tomorrow on how to access that recording. And now I would like to go ahead and turn things over to our presenters, Marius Heuler and Harald Höhn. Marius and Harald, are you ready to start the show?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so here's Marius. I switch to the agenda. Okay. Today's webinar about what's new in StableNet 7.5 is divided in two parts. The first part is what I'm presenting, is more the technical background. That's done with slides to show you internal things, which is not nicely to present in a live demo. The second part is about all the whistles and bells, everything we made more nice. We added the web portal, dashboards. That is done by Harald and is a complete live demo. So I will continue with the first part of new features, mainly technical features. Sorry, wrong button. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the new REST interface, the REST API, and our iPhone app. The REST interface is a new interface according to the RESTful standard, which is an industry standard and allows workflow integration and mainly integration of other tools or applications to access metadata of StableNet and also to control StableNet, for example, for workflows. One of our reference application is the iPhone app. That's the first application using solely the REST interface. So the iPhone app only uses the REST interface. It does not use any other interface of StableNet. That means you also could write the same, something very similar to the iPhone app or the same thing, just using our official interfaces. And the iPhone app is available right now for testing. We have pilot customers already using it, and it will be publicly available in the Apple App Store in November, so it means next month. We also will have an Android app. At the moment we are working, is in development. We will, till the end of the year, probably have a test pilot application where customers can join a beta program for testing also the Android app. The final version is planned for Q1 2016 for next quarter, and both the iPhone and the Android app will feature and also look mainly the same. So what is the iPhone app all about? The iPhone app has three main use cases. The first one is about alarm handling. That's mainly meant for engineers or NOC personnel on shift or on call who can just with their app check alarms. They can see also open alarms, they can filter on open alarms, and most importantly, they can comment or acknowledge alarms if they are not so important. they can react on it, they can get an alarm, so the iPhone will signal new alarms coming in. They can also create a reminder for them that they need to do something later, or send the alarm message via mail to some colleague. And of course, it shows our root causes and symptoms, so we get all the data available also in StableNet for alarms. The second use case is the device information. That's useful for everyone, also for engineers. If they, for example, need to do maintenance on some hardware, some gear, they can look up the device name, device model information, any properties of the device. Of course, they can also open the neighborhood map and see how the device is interconnected. Of course, they can see the status of the links and the status of other devices. And if geolocations are provided for the devices, they can exactly plot the device in a geomap on the phone and see where the device is located. If you use the geolocation and define it accurately, you can even see in which building the device is located or which rack, if you have this information available. The third use case is status and performance information, which is mainly a use case for management or C-level staff. That means they can see overall status of the company workflows. Technically, you can add any URL which provides an bitmap, a JPEG or PNG, some chart which you can plot, which can also refresh. So in StableNet you can put any report element like a weather map, a chart, or alarm states, kind of the dashboards, and you can add multiple elements and swipe around to change between them. So at your fingertips you can have the whole information about the status of your company and the most important business processes. Before questions come up, the iPhone app and the Android app will be free of charge. So you can download it freely from the App Store when it's released. What you need, of course, is to license the 2 required REST modules, which the app requires to function. The next feature I want to show you are the NCCM extension. NCCM is our network configuration and change management, which has been greatly extended, enhanced in StableNet 7.5. The first extensions are in the template config jobs. We added new commands, meaning here in the XML file you can use new commands. For example, you can define variables for loops or for processing. You can add RESTful commands by adding XML REST parts or XML REST metadata or even other REST data embedded in the XML structure of the config jobs. The placeholder mechanism where you can use and access metadata or variable has been also extended. You can use placeholders nearly in all places now and you can, with the variable concept, define variables based on other variables and do loops and similar things and control structures. What is very important is that we have multi-line matching now. For example, when you have output with spreads over multiple lines, you have to process as one item. You can now use our multi-line matching. To make this clear, I have a nice example, a use case, which I will present shortly, which shows all the new functionality of our template config jobs. Additionally, we have included a completely new policy check engine inside StableNet, inside the system. What you see, what you can get out of it is it's not anymore Perl based. That means no Perl is required to do policy checks. If you don't want, you don't need to install Perl at all. It's not required anymore. Of course, if you like Perl or have custom scripts, you can still use it to run your scripts. You can also still use our StableNet Perl API if you want. That's of course still supported. But if you don't like Perl or don't need to use it, you don't have to. The previous versions of policy checks had a fail fast functionality. That means it only reported the first violation in one snippet. So if there were multiple violations in a snippet, only the first was reported, and then the snippet processing was aborted and you did not get follow-up violations. In the new engine, the system reports all violations of a snippet, and every single line is reported if it's not matching or matching. That's an enhancement of the engine we have now. Also, the accuracy of the messages has been enhanced. So if you look on the detailed output of the policy check job, it's much more informative and clear what is done and what is checked. And you also get more granular reports because more detailed information like line numbers and is included in the reports of the policy check. The version check has also been improved and supports more formats. For example, for Cisco iOS, you have a very complex version schema, like it's 12.3, A1, parentheses 3. So it's very complex, and we have an engine which parses that version schema according to the Cisco definitions or other vendor definitions and finds out if one version is newer or older than another version. That is required, for example, for lifecycle management. You have to find out if a version is newer than another version which is end of life, or for vulnerability if a version is also affected by one vulnerability. And the fixes, for example, for vulnerability typically is that the next patch level includes the fix, so you have to thoroughly check if a version is affected or not. And our extended implementation now supports more variants of versions and more vendors. What is also completely new is the support for custom portals for config jobs. With that, a customer can let us implement a custom portal for his workflows. This portal is completely tailored for a specific workflow, which of course speeds up the execution of the workflow and the efficiency. For that, I have an example. This screen shows that that's a web-based web portal, and this is used to configure dynamic rules for network tool optimizers. And the customer here is a big telco in Switzerland. They provide this web portal for specific governmental people who configure specific rules, and in this example they must not see any other data or they must not use StableNet at all. They just use their portal where they can configure their dynamic rules, they can execute the jobs and see the results. Everything is hidden behind the portal, which was completely customer made. Completely made for the customer and tailored for exactly the defined use case. Of course, in the background, still StableNet is running. So the portal is just the front end, which uses our internal interfaces like the REST interface to control, deploy jobs, execute jobs, and so on. Here you see an example that's a job used by this front-end portal to configure the dynamic rules on the NTO devices. We are at the moment developing several portals for customers. Some we cannot show yet at the moment for security reasons, but we will add, if there's a requirement from one customer, we can develop a workflow portal which exactly is tailored for the workflows. That means engineers, even engineers which have no experience in StableNet or have not much technical experience, can do their defined tasks very efficiently. And we have other examples for workflow which we cannot show in this broad audience, but if you have requirement for specific portals, please talk to us. And now I have a custom use case from a customer which shows what you can fulfill, what you can do with our enhanced NCCM. The use case sounds simple in the description, but is technically not too trivial. But this use case is completely implemented with StableNet 7.5. So the use case is to label interfaces of a device with the name of the connected neighbor. So on each interface you want to configure the interface description with the name of the connected router. And this should be done automatically in a job. Of course, the job should update this description like every day. And for that, of course, there's a job created. We have an XML template config job, which does the execution of this use case and deploys it to the devices. Here you see the output of the show CDB neighbors command. What you will notice is that the output has multiple lines. Always two lines belong to the same information. So the first line is the device name of the neighbor device. The second line includes the local interface name, some internal data, the platform and port of the neighbor device. So for that you need to match multiple lines. Always two lines belong together, and also get from these lines the neighbor device and the local interface name. And here we use the functionality of Stable 7.5 to execute it. So I will show you how this works. So the first thing is we execute the show CDB neighbors command and match the line. In our use case, we are only interested in our own neighbor devices, so we ignore provider devices. So we filter for devices which end with the name routerlab.infosim.net and this regular expression matches the lines. And you can notice here we have the multi-line option enabled, and this output is stored in the variable called CDB. You see key CDB, that's the variable name. If you look on the lower part of the screen, you see how the variable looks like after the parsing. So the variable consists of multiple entries which include the neighbor router name and the name of the local interface, like here RouterLab switch New York and fast Ethernet 0-1. What we need to do next is to split that line into the part of the router name and the part of the interface name. And of course we need to loop through all the lines because we want to configure all the line entries on our system. So we loop through all the lines of the CDP variable. Then we extract the neighbor router using our new variable command, which you can see here, and we store this information in the neighbor, in the variable called neighbor. Then we extract the interface, the local interface name, using the same principle and store it in the variable called interface or IF. Then we configure the interface description that are commands now for a Cisco device, where we select the interface and add the command description CDB link to and add the neighbor. Here with the ref command here, we select the variable, and these placeholders then are replaced with the content of the variables, of course. So the whole config jobs looks like this. First, we read out all the data with the show command. Then we have this loop which configures the individual interfaces based on the data we got from the device on the first command. What is still missing? We need to enter the configure mode on a Cisco device. So let's add it. Configure terminal and end commands need to be added. And we also want to save it, to persist it on the startup config. So we need to add a write memory or copy startup running config or something similar at the end. And set, I don't know, 20 lines, do the complete job. If you run this in a job, select the template, you can execute it for all your Cisco devices, and it will change the interface description to show the CDB neighbor of each individual interface. Everything done automatically. Cool. So the next topic I want to show you is the company lifecycle management. Previously we had an AOL called system where you could do end-of-life tests. This has been greatly enhanced and also supports now company lifecycle management. And we call it also now EOX because it's not only end of life, it's end of sales, support, advanced services, and so on. Sorry. The extensions are now that we have 5 definable EOX types, like end of sales, end of service, end of custom support, and so on. You also can define the names on your own. For example, in your company, you don't have end of custom support, but you want to add a field end of back office support, which is important or which is known term in your company. And you also can configure warning times. And what's very important is that the EOX entries now support device filters. I will explain this content more thoroughly in the next slides, so you get exactly what are the advantages of that. And we have new enhanced detailed reports, for example, a new device overview report, which covers all important information of a device. But let's go to the screenshots. It's easier to understand. So the first thing is, in the default properties, you can define the names, the terms of each end of life, end of EOX entries. The default terms you can see here, and you can define your own names if you want. And of course, you can also use the fields for your own purpose if you have a different purpose than the predefined name. You can also define a warning time, which is important in the report if the EOX, if the defined EOX state is nearer than the defined warning interval, like here it's half a year. If the EOX is in only 3 months, it's marked as a warning and colored yellow, so you see an upcoming end of life indication in the reports. Here's an example about the device filters which have been added. In the previous versions we only had 3 dates. If you look on the left side of the screen, and we only could define the vendor and the version or the main field. But you could not define, like Cisco defines for Nexus 4000 series, for example, the Nexus OS version 5 is end of life. But for the Nexus 5000 series, it's not end of life. So now with StableNet 7.5, you can add a device filter where additional to the version filter, you filter on a system model 4000 for Nexus 4000, on the vendor Cisco, which anyway is filtered on Cisco on the main filter, and you filter on NXOS Nexus Operation System. That means this definition only matches versions where the device also has a model description of 4000, like a Nexus 4000. You can also use it for a different purpose, like you have a network function code and the device, the same device in the core has a different end of life than the device in the office or access range. So you can define different EOX definitions for core devices, which are usually much more strict. But in the office area, you are relaxed, you allow more flexible end-of-life definitions. So a device which must not be used in the core according to your company lifecycle policy can still be used in the office, even if it's exactly the same device. For that, you use our device filters on the right side. And then we have extended our reports. So first thing is the device reports now contains information about the module number, how many modules are end of life, the chassis status, the OS status, and which is most important, you can define different reports for different departments, for example. Like the procurement department or the sourcing called department wants to know only, is only interested in the end of sales definition. So if they can't buy some hardware, it's very important for them. So they only care about the end of sales date definition. So in their report, they select just the end of sales date with a column selection in the reporting system and get a report like this. And you see most of our very old devices are long time end of sales. Now the operations department is not interested if they can buy a device, they are interested if they can support the device, if they can run the device. And they have extended service contracts with Cisco for some of their gear, so they are interested in the end of extended service, which is much far away than end of sales, of course. So they select only the extended service column and create the report, and they can see now a lot of things look green, so the devices are end of sales, but are still in the extended service, or many of them. So each department can create its own tailored report and get exactly the information each department needs. Good, the next topic I want to present you is the dynamic rule generation, DRG called. And the use case is, which I want to present, you want to monitor modules of given devices for temperature alarms. You can do this already with StableNet 7 or 6 without any problem. But here in our example use case, we have extended some requirements, because here we want unique alarms for different modules. Because if a chassis module goes into alarm in this example, the ticket has to go to a different department than the routing engine alarm, for example. So the module names here is just an example of how this concept works in principle. But what you can get is individual monitors and alarms dynamically created. And also the modules, the names of the modules are not known upfront. You can look in StableNet and get the list of modules of your devices, but when new devices are installed, you don't know upfront how the modules are called. So you want something generic, a generic solution. And of course, everything must be automated, like everything in StableNet is automated. You want to do this in the XML discovery. The Syslog examples look like this, which you can see in the lower part of the screen. The alarm Syslog is temperature of module, routing engine 2, that's the module name, is too high or is okay. So that are the two Syslogs you get in this example, and with that Syslogs we need to cope. So to create monitoring for that use case, first thing we need to do is to create a Syslog measurement. With the definition you can see here, we configure the Syslog down and up expressions with a regular expression and grouping to get the name out of the Syslog message. Of course, this is a stateful measurement. We want to store multiple IDs. The ID here in this example is the name of the module. And I select a device filter for my test device. You can also do it differently and use status measurements, but to make it simple, I just do it for one example device. So that was also possible with StableNet versions before 7.5. What we now want to have is a dynamic rule. We want to get dynamic monitors. So next thing we need to do, we enable the dynamic rule generation DRG feature for the specific monitor which monitor we want to have dynamic rules, dynamic entries created. Of course, usually we want to automate this, and here's an example XML snippet which creates the example monitoring which we use in this use case. So you just create a syslog measurement and enable with monitor overrides the dynamic monitor functionality. So how does it work? So at the beginning you have just one syslog measurement like standard and one syslog state monitor. That's nothing new. Then we simulate syslogs using the nc netcat command, which you can see in the middle of the screen, and we send two examples: routing engine 2 is too high and chassis temperature is too high. On the lower screen you can see the syslogs coming in, how they are shown in StableNet. So we receive them, looks fine. So what happens now with our measurement? In the measurement tree we can see we now have two more monitors which we didn't add. They're added automatically by our dynamic rule generation system. So we have now a monitor for the chassis and for routing engine 2. And in fact, the name chassis or routing engine 2 are exactly the names of the IDs from our regular expression we used in the syslog monitoring. So they are automatically created from our dynamic rule generation. Since that's kind of a rule, it's called DRG. That's where the name comes from. Of course, in the open alarms now, you see two individual alarms. You see an alarm for chassis is too high and routing engine 2 is too high. So that's what we wanted. We didn't want to have one alarm correlated because for this specific purpose we wanted two individual alarms which can be handled by different groups. That was the purpose of this example. To continue the example, we send now OK for the chassis monitor. You can see it's received, and in the lower part you can see the chassis monitor is also green. So the monitors work independently depending if the key, like the chassis or routing engine 2, is an alarm or OK state. So we send the next syslog, so everything is green now. That's expected. And one important thing I want to show you, you noticed perhaps on the slide before us that there are checkboxes on the right side of the syslog entries. That's the column called matched, and this, if this is checked, indicates that this syslog was processed by one syslog measurement of the system. You also can just click on the checkbox and StableNet jumps directly to the measurement in the tree and shows which measurement processed this syslog entry. So you can see the empty and some other syslog event which is ignored messages have not been processed, but our example messages have been processed by our syslog measurement. Another thing, if you run this DRG for some time, you have expired monitors like the chassis module might be green since long time, so you don't need this monitor anymore. You want to get rid of it because it's has not any purpose anymore. So we have included a system where you can define a DTL, time to live, and all monitors which are long length or case states and the defined time to live are automatically removed by the system. So the system automatically clears up old data. And of course you can configure the time to live. You can also disable it if you want. But usually one don't want to have old data in the system to make it more readable. But that is anyway configurable. So that was the DRG system. Now I show something which is doesn't look very fancy, but is sometimes very important for customers. And it's about forwarding syslog trap or flow data to multiple destinations. So if you replace, for example, legacy systems, and then you send also syslog and trap to StableNet because it has the highest capabilities of processing data. But you still may require, for the time being, send it to some legacy system or some external system which still needs to run for a specific purpose. So you can configure and state it on the agent forwarding, and the system will forward all received syslogs, traps or flows, and all means all which are not directly discarded by any filter. And the important thing is it will keep the original source address. So it mainly spoofs the source address. That means the destination devices which receive the data see the syslog or trap as if it's coming from the original device. It's completely untouched, even if it's forwarded, and you can use it to integrate legacy system. You can also just forward the data to some test machine for testing purpose, and you can define in the GUI, you go to the agent expert, you can define one destination or multiple destination, a list of devices, and StableNet then forwards the received data to all the devices, IP and port of the list, and the destination device sees the original sender address, which is important, very important for alarm processing of most systems. So the last thing I want to show of this technical part is about SDN, NFV. SDN is software-defined networks. Network function virtualization is NFV. That's new terms used in mainly in the data center environment at the moment. What StableNet can do is to do unified management. So if you have a legacy network, what you usually have, and extend it with an SDN network or do some NFV setups, you can manage it both with StableNet. You can discover it. You can monitor performance. So we can read from a SDN controller like OpenStack. We can read out the configuration. We can get performance data. There are several controllers, of course. Many support, some support SNMP, most support like a REST interface or getting CSV files. So there are multiple interfaces possible. StableNet has a generic approach where you can also support external controllers or proprietary controllers where we can get the information. We can also configure them if they provide something, like a command line interface, which they usually do, or they have a REST API where we configure it. This market is still in the works, so there are many different controllers. It's not yet clear which will win, which is the most common one. So we have a generic approach and also extending it with projects to support new interfaces which are coming up. There's also a heavy development on this in this part, on the SDN controllers and also on standards and protocols. We are working also with some university projects and other companies in research to extend the capabilities in this area. Okay, that was it from my part. The features, the more technical part. The next thing is what Harald will show, is completely a live demo. And for that, I first hand over back to Matthias. Hello, Matthias.
Yes, hello. Harald, are you ready to take over?
Yeah, I can start. So, okay, thank you, Marius, for the first part. And I will show now the live part. And I will start with the largest feature in the new version of StableNet. This is if you log in the StableNet GUI, you have a completely different view in the measurement theme. We completely removed the right side overview in the measurement theme. So we only have a chart with an overview over the complete status for every monitor which are created in the system and some monitor status in the category filter dialog to see the categories and the status of some filtered monitors. This is completely removed, and we have on the right side now a new dashboard functionality. This is really cool because each user which logged in can create their own view which should be displayed on the right side. So it can be predefined by administrator, but you can create as much as dashboards as you want, and for different use cases, and it depends on the user which overview and which status view he wants to know if you logged in, and it can be changed in the combo box on the right side, which are available. So to configure a new dashboard and show the functionality, we can use the dashboard manager, which is available in the option menu, or with a button to create this in the right top corner here. And I will create a new one. You open a new wizard, then I want to create a new status dashboard. I can define some description for the dashboard, and if I click next, I get an editor which defines the layout and the configuration of each element which are available. At the moment, the default are 4 pieces and 4 widgets, and you can choose a layout button, and you can say, okay, I want to get 3 rows and 3 columns, and if I press OK, I can set that the layout should be changed, and now I have new default layout. If I select one and I press the add button on the left side, then I can also add additional lines and can remove some lines if I don't want them. So you can define and change each dashboard which are defined in the system. A special handling is you can use functionality like Excel. If you select more than one element, you can press the merge button, and then you merge more elements to one element, so you can define that some information are important and should be shown larger than every other element in the system, or I can merge a whole line to also add a table or something else. So first of all, so you can define your layout you want to see, and then I double click on each element, and then I get a new window, and I can select the widget which should be shown in each element. At the moment, in the 7.5 version, we deliver 4 widgets. This should be so we want to create more, and this list should be increased. And if you have some ideas, you can contact us. But at the moment, we deliver 4 status widgets here. The first one is the weather map I want to show. So I can display a whole weather map in an element here, and this element will show the current status of the weather map, which should be displayed. And I can also include an interval here, a refresh interval, and I can also here create a name and a description for this element. So here I want to add a service map to this element, and the refresh interval for 1 minute is okay. And if I open here the weather map selection, I get the weather map tree, and I can select the weather map which should be shown in the current widget. So therefore, I want to get the web service weather map, and if I press OK, so now the first element is configured. Then I configure the next one. I can use now the open alarm table functionality and widget, and this widget shows the current open alarms table, like the table in the bottom of the StableNet GUI. But what you can do now is you can use some filter elements. The open alarms table in the bottom shows always all alarms which are available for this current user. But in our case, if you want to add some filtered open alarms table, then I want to include here only the open alarms for Cisco devices. For Cisco devices, I can insert in the description, and what I only have to do is I can include in the filter elements in the below area, I can in Cisco the vendor filter Cisco, and now I filter all alarms only for devices which are from the vendor Cisco. You can also add use a checkbox to show the symptoms, and you can hide or show all acknowledged alarms which matches the filter. What you also can do is you can sort by alarm or by time, or you can set a time range also as filter to show only the Cisco alarms which appears in the last hour. But at the moment, I want to do the I want to show all which are available. And what is also possible, I can open the column order, and I can set some columns which I don't want to see in this widget to disable and hide them. So I unselect all at the moment, and I only want to show the alarm message and the IP address and the ticket number and the acknowledge field. So I have only 4 fields in this widget. I press OK, and now I can finish the definition of the open alarms table. Then I have 2 additional widgets. The first one, or the third one, is the open alarm widget. This widget shows all open alarms which matches a filter in a pie chart display type, or as bar chart, or as a donut chart. Though you can define in which design you want to display the element. I can also define a name. So I want to see here also all status elements for the device Cisco. So Cisco alarm status element. And I can choose the severity level I want to see. So if I choose the major or above severity level, then I only match alarms which have the severity major or higher. For my example here, I want to show the, all severity levels, and I can also include acknowledge alarms. I can add an option if I want to show a border, and the border gets a color for the widget. The border color will be the highest severity which are available for all matched alarms. And I can also include the legend for this element. And what I only have to do is to include always here the Cisco filter here, and that's all. And the last element which are available is the status widget. I think this is the most powerful one, because you can also use it design as pie chart, as a bar chart, or as a donut chart. But you can summon all status, not only the alarms. So with this widget, you see the status of the whole system, which includes all monitor states. So also the OK alarms, the OK monitors, and the no data monitors. So you see an overview which happens in which group. Or for some filter devices, or for every filter element you can handle here. I want to show the status for all router in our demo lab. So on the left side, you see the structure. We have in Europe one lab group, and in the lab group we have some router. So now I add the router status for Europe, and I can include a filter element for the parent group called router. And I can also here add, I want to show the legend. I can add a refresh interval here. I can set the scale to absolute or relative. I can add also a severity filter if I want to use this, and I can also use a group by element. So this group by possibility shows or group the matched monitors for some monitor categories, or for the monitor or for the device. So monitor means every monitor counts, or if I select here the device, I get the status, the current status of each device. So each device is one count in the status element. Okay, that's the whole definition. I have added each element in the current dashboard, and then I can go to the next step. I can here select the users which have rights for this dashboard. So this should be available for every user here in the system. And now I can finish it, and I have completely added it to the system. And now I can select this element, and now I get the status what I was defined. So in the right corner I see the Cisco alarm status of all Cisco devices with a border. On the middle right side I see all status for all router elements per device. So you see we have 5 devices in OK mode, 2 with a major alarm and 1 with a marginal alarm. And on the left side I see the weather map, and in the bottom here I see the defined alarm table with the 4 columns, and which should be displayed here. Now, what is also possible with this feature, you can work with it. So if some problem, so you see the web service have a problem in the weather map, then I can use the possibility with a right-click menu, and I can jump to the weather map. And in the weather map, I can use the right-click menu for the device to rediscover something, to open the analyzer, to jump to the measurement or something else. So it is really easy that you see in the overview some problems to jump to it and work with this. The same in the other elements. So I go to the status element here. If I press here the right-click mouse, then I can open the monitor table, and I get all matched monitors for this alarm. And if I select here in the element one monitor, then then you see in the left side in the tree, you jump to it, and then you can do an analyzer open or something else, so you can really work fast with this new feature. Okay, so that was a short overview for all elements which are possible here, and it is really easy to configure it for each user and show their own state and the status of the overview what should be shown if you log in the Java GUI. Good. What we also improve in the Java GUI is each table which are available in StableNet has the possibility to do a new functionality called order column. So it makes really easy so to change the order and hide the columns which are available and so on. So it makes it really easy to modify these elements in the system. Good. Then I will switch back will switch to the web GUI. Our web GUI is also improved and have a lot of functionality like the GUI. So we improved it, we changed our menu. This is at the moment on the left side. This can be also customizable with the colors and so on. But we want to improve the web GUI that it makes it easier to handle and use it like the Java GUI. So that's also the reason why we have for all tables all this functionality in the web GUI to make some columns visible and invisible and change the order. So this is also improved here in the web GUI. And what I want to show is you can see also the dashboard functionality in the web GUI. So it is the same like the right side in the measurement theme. So you can define and select your predefined dashboards and can be displayed also in the GUI. And it's also possible to use a right click and jump to the weather map and use the same functionality here. What also is new is we changed our geomap view. Our geomap view was before an overview over all monitor status. We changed it that you only see the alarm status, and if the devices have geolocations added, then you can zoom in and you get a square where are some problems and an alarm is located. And if you press on one of the element, then you see how many alarms are open and how many acknowledged alarms. And if you open the show alarm table, that in this view you can work with each element, and then you can also jump to, you can use the acknowledge possibility. So I will acknowledge one of them, and now if I switch back, then you get after a reload, you get the information that an additional one is alarm is acknowledged, and the string in the where icon means at the moment we have 12 or 13 alarms in this region, and one of these alarms are acknowledged at the moment. And if I want to reload, then you see, okay, I have now acknowledged a second one, and someone is working on it, and so you can work with this overview to see in which location we have problems and where is no one working on it. The same is if you want to filter it on the severity of the alarms which are available at the moment, is on the bottom here. You can click on each element and then you get a list of all major alarms or for all critical alarms which are available in the system. Okay, the last one, what I want to show is we have an additional functionality for measurements which have a lot of output parameters. If I go to one measurement, so I think I use the processor, the Cisco memory processor measurement here as example. If I open the analyzer, I you know every functionality here. We have in the value combo box the overview which values are available, and you can also put all values in one chart. But it's not possible at the moment to do an analysis over a lot of measurements over all output parameters. That's really yeah, one functionality which was missing at the moment. And to do this in the new version, I select two of the memory processors, or I can select a group with a lot of measurements, and I open the group analyzer. And what happens now is I get an overview or I have a new possibility in the report type combo box. This is called statistic table. And the statistic table makes an overview over all available output parameters. So with this possibility, you can filter and do some sorting and order changes for each column which are available. So now for the Cisco memory, we have one output parameter for free memory in megabyte and free memory in percent. And if I want to show the free memory, but I only want also want to filter on the element average percent, which is larger than 20%. Then I can also use this, and I can make this column invisible, so the view will change, so I can do some filter for output parameters which you don't see, but you see the other output parameter which are filtered for a dedicated filter which is set on another output parameter for this measurement. This makes it really flexible to do some analysis about complex measurements which have a lot of output parameters in one measurement. Okay, so I think that was the part of the live demo. I will switch back to Matthias, so maybe we have some questions, or we have, yeah.
Yes.
Are some questions available?
Yes, thank you, Harald, for the presentation. And yes, we have already several questions coming in. But before we go over to the questions from the audience, I want to answer the question, are the presentation slides of today's webinar available? Yes, they're available. As you can see, they're in the handout section of your GoToWebinar panel. And of course, you can also contact us directly if you want. We also added the StableNet release notes in this handout area, but all this information is also available on our website. So now we can go over to the questions from our audience. I think the first one are for Harald. I think you already showed that there are the columns in the Open Alarm widgets are selectable. But is there also the possibility to create a ticket out from there?
Yes, you have the same possibility like in the normal Open Alarm table. So if I do a right click, if I have the possibility to create a ticket at the moment in the demo system, this possibility is not set it here. But if it is possible to set a ticket also in this table.
And you already mentioned that we are planning some other widget types. Are there some already in the pipeline, or shall the attendees make some?
Yes, we have some ideas, and we know some elements in widget we want to improve and want to create here. But if any user have an idea what can be displayed here and what is helpful to manage a system, it is really great, and send us an email so we can implement it and or create it in one of the next releases.
And another question or wish, which I did not hear the first time, is will the old geomap be included in the StableNet once again, showing the status of the monitors, so you would also see the monitors in OK state?
Yeah, at the moment for the work with this element, it's interesting to show only the alarms, but maybe if it is a wish, so I think we can discuss about it, but at the moment it's not, or maybe we can include it, so I don't know.
Okay. And another wish is also what Marius told about before. Will there also be a Windows app? Is it planned to do, or how is the timeline?
Yes, that depends on the customer. So the next planned thing is that we release the Android app, which is Android's very common. Windows app is not yet planned, but of course it depends if there's a high demand for Windows phones. We could also do a Windows app.
Big customers are asking for.
Yeah. And
yes.
And for the what Harald said, for the geo map, what we are planning already is that we have the alarm map, and what we also already plan is a status map. I don't know if that is what the question was about. The status map shows like the device status, which also shows green devices. But that's a different purpose than the alarm map. I don't know if that was the intention of the question or what Harald was saying.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, then there is another question about how long will the new version be supported, or how long will the old version be supported?
Okay, so that's a standard LTS, long time support version. So it means we support officially the latest 2 LTS versions. So at the moment, the standard support includes the 7.5, the new release, and the 7.0 version. Officially, the 6 versions are end of life. Of course, we have customers with special contracts which have specific requirements where on a contract basis we also support older versions. That is that's not the standard support, that's a specific extended support, like in our EUX where we can get a custom service. But standard support covers now only the 7 versions, and this will be supported till the end of next year when we have the over next LTS version coming up.
And because time is going on, last but not least the question, what are the update requirements for the version 7.5?
Okay, it's requirements between the 7.5 and the 7.0 did not change, but the 7.0 version has very specific requirements, especially for the new HA. But you can look up also requirements in the release notes. I think they are parts of the handouts you can download, or you will anyway get the link email. That document includes all the requirements.
Okay, some more information, some other web sessions and other StableNet related subjects are also available on our website, and please contact us, or you can also visit our homepage. We are happy to help. And yeah, also a lot more resources are available. And Marius, can you please show the links with the resource section of the presentation? As mentioned before, you can download. Yeah. Here you can see what other resources are available on our website. Please don't hesitate to visit our website, and yes, you can download this slide with the links from our handout section. So I want to say thank you very much to Marius and Harald for this presentation in the live demo, and also thank everyone for joining the session today. And as I have mentioned before, we do a recording of this webinar, and it will be made available, and you get an email tomorrow so you can download. And again, if there are some other questions, or also the questions which are still open from the attendees will be answered, don't hesitate, ask us directly by email or somehow else, and we will help you. We will keep now the session open for a few more minutes. So if you have some additional questions, don't hesitate to type in your question field from the GoToWebinar. So, well, I guess that's all from us today. So again, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day and goodbye.